This is how my 10th grade English class led me to getting a full ride to Yale and now working in LA in the entertainment industry. What's up, y'all? My name is Arnold and I graduated Yale with a degree in theater and performance studies and political science. And now I'm in LA, living it up, working in film, working in the industry. And in this video, I want to talk about the importance of teachers and following your childhood interests, and how my 10th grade English class helped me get into Yale and pursue my career and interests in filmmaking and storytelling up until this point. So for context, I went to a public high school in a lower income area, but I also took the magnet program, which were slightly more difficult classes. And in the 10th grade, my magnet English teacher assigned us many projects and readings. Of course, you know, in English class, I think it's easy to overlook it and kind of think of it as boring, where you're just reading and writing and talking and, you know, not finding much meaning out of it. But something I think I did pretty well was trying to find an interest in whatever subject that it was. In this case, in English class, we were reading the novel Beloved by Toni Morrison. And basically, without the help of ChatGPT, of course, it's set in the period after the American Civil War. The novel tells the story of a dysfunctional family of formerly enslaved people whose Cincinnati home is haunted by a malevolent spirit. So obviously in class, part of the curriculum was, you know, reading it chapter by chapter, discussing it in class, doing daily quizzes and whatnot. But for the final project, you know, my teacher gave us a few open-ended options. You know, we could either do an oral presentation, write an essay, do a PowerPoint slide, make a picture collage or whatever on, like, I believe it was like either one chapter of the book. And because I was unnecessarily extra and bored, I decided to make a Lego stop motion film of chapter 13 of the novel. And luckily archival footage is still a thing, so let's run the tapes right now.
Seta, you ain't gonna like what I'm about to say.
Baldy? Baldy? Why you make me feel like a young girl? Coming by to pick me up after work.
Seta, you ain't gonna like what I'm about to say.
Say it, Baldy.
I want you pregnant.
Crazy man.
Hey! Ah!
You need some babies and somebody to play with. You need some babies and somebody to play with.
I'm sure willing to try. I need a willing partner though. We can make a life, girl. A life.
Watching it now is like, oh my gosh. I think I made that video when I was like, how old was I? 15? 14 maybe, or something like that. Yes, I was 15 years old when I made that 10th grade English class. And why do I want to talk about this? Why or how did this lead to where I am today? Well, the first point I want to reiterate, which is, you know, wholesome, a little bit cliche, but I don't care, is that I truly think that education is really, really important. Whether you're homeschooled, public school, private school, or whatever, I think education, especially when you're younger and your mind isn't tainted by society. I mean, I'm not going to talk about this generation with TikTok and all that. You know, I feel like I'm gonna get roasted for this, but I feel like a lot of young kids are kind of encumbered and inundated by, you know, social media and all these other things. But when you're a kid, especially as a kid, your brain is a lot more malleable, and you know, you can take more risks and you can be more creative. So that's why I think having the great teachers are super important, and having teachers like this, like Miss R, I'll call her Miss R, in this English class, promoting a, how do you even describe this? Promoting, like, you know, having innovative and creative ways to express yourself and your understanding of a novel. I think that is super, super important, because many people love expressing themselves in different ways. I know in the class there are people, once again, who did like photo collages, or they made like figurines. I think education and teachers play a huge role in cultivating students' creativity and intellectual curiosity. And as a student, this is my advice for people who are in high school or college, specifically for like high school kids who want to get into a dream college. you really should just do what excites you and what interests you. That way things aren't gonna feel like work, and you're gonna be very motivated and come closer and closer to discovering what is it that you love to do. For example, this Lego stop motion project, which I know it's brilliant, Spielberg and Robert Eggers and all these people are very jealous of my work. There were other classes, for example, in another class, I made a TED Talk video where I recorded a video sketch with some of my other classmates and teachers. This next thing is more so for my adults and people who are in post-grad. I think it's super useful to reflect on what were those things that made you very excited and happy as a kid, because ultimately, I hope that those are things that you can continue to do in your day-to-day life as an adult, especially now that you don't have any restrictions with money. I mean, you probably have more restrictions with money because now you're financially supporting yourself by yourself. But those things you got to continue to nourish and keep alive. This connects to an idea that Robert Greene talks about. He's the famous dude who wrote the 48 Laws of Power and other self-help books. He talks about this idea of the primal inclination, which essentially is something that as a kid you just naturally enjoyed and loved doing and that you were excited about. And I remember he brings up an example of like Tiger Woods when he was a kid. Tiger Woods was super fascinated by his dad just like hitting golf balls in the back. I hope it was hitting golf balls in the back and nothing else, but I digress. These are things that make you unique, and these are things that make you alive in yourself. So for me right now in post-grad, you know, where I'm working in film and entertainment, I remember those days of like, wow, I remember in English class how, you know, I was super extra and decided to make a Lego stop motion video, or when I was 8 years old and I recorded that lip syncing sketch video with my cousins. You know, they're kind of like these nostalgic clues that can pave the way for your future. Another thing is that projects like these and making the most out of the opportunities that you had ultimately led me into getting into Yale and my post-grad status, because it showed how, hey, depending on the assignment that I'm given, if I'm interested in, which I can create an interest in, I'm gonna go above and beyond and make this project uniquely me. This is useful because at work, you're gonna constantly have to creative problem solve, and in college, you're gonna be working on a lot of different projects with a lot of other people. Here are my different thoughts depending on what stage you are in. So if you are a high school student or even a middle school student, genuinely be interested in the classes and figure out a way to connect to it in a fun way. For example, if you have a project, you know, similar to that in English class, if you think Legos are useful and interesting, or filmmaking is fun, or whatever it is, it could be photography, dance, sculpting, whatever it is, you know, especially if you have the time for it, you know, put in that little bit of extra effort, because it'll make the process more enjoyable and you can discover a lot about yourself and really develop those relationships with teachers, making the most out of the assignments, and just really, I know it's cliche, but just expressing yourself as much as possible. When you're in college, I would say you should continue to do that, but also remember, you know, the things that you did as a kid when times were a lot more innocent, that genuinely brought you joy. And in the post-grad world, because you have to worry about taxes and jobs and making rent and all that, I think it is especially important to like journal and read every single day. I think journaling is useful, where you just, you know, write about, okay, what were those things? What were those projects as a kid, you know, in elementary school, middle school, high school, even college, that I genuinely and unconditionally love doing, and how can I bring that back to my daily life? And you'll be surprised, maybe those are the things that you want to pursue as a career or keep as a hobby or whatever. There's just so much beauty in just taking advantage of, you know, your resources and doing things that excite you and interest you and bringing it into your long life ahead of you. That doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Don't be surprised if I get nominated for an Oscar for that Lego stop motion short. But if you have anything else, let me know related to college, high school, post-grad, entertainment, art, life, working out. That was out of nowhere. But thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.